You know that voice. Shine on. I'm not going to cut him off, so why don't you skip? I didn't do that. Make that change.
That's really well. That's all I want to do. I don't know. Why don't you?
So I do want to say, again, thank you everybody very much for helping support me in my venture into my public speaking career. I've been saying that I'm excited, to lead me up to this moment in time, but at this particular moment, I am nervous to be here. And that's all right, because anything that's worth having is worth being nervous for, and it also tells you that that's what you're supposed to be doing. And sometimes you're not doing what you should be doing, and then you get nervous, like maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But this is me leaping, we're gonna leap with faith, and stepping into what I've come to know as truth. So, welcome to the Imaginarium, everybody. No fees. They did that with my branding expert over there. Thank you again. Thank you. So, all that you behold, though it appears without, it is within. Your wonderful human imagination, in which this world of mortality is but a shadow. The world of mortality is just a shadow. This whole world is going to crumble at some point in time. This building at one point was not here, and it's here now. And sometime in the future, likely it will not be here for either a bulldozer comes in, a crazy nor'easter knocks a plank down, something will happen to cause this thing to crumble. Same thing with us. Our bodies are here, being able to clap, right? But at any given moment in time, to me, that's not a scary thing. It used to be a scary thing, but to me, it's not scary because I've come to realize that this is just a vessel that the presence in me travels through. It's a time machine, if you will, to observe what I call God has created. It's an amazing trip. You call Jared most social. It really is an amazing trip to experience 38 years. That's not how I am. To experience 36 and 0.98 years. I'm almost turning 37. I don't know how I
You're just getting ready for the future.
Yeah, thank you. I am getting ready for the future. So, show of hands. Who has ever played with their imagination in some capacity, whether it's daydreaming or dreaming or, desiring something, right? Just show of hands. And everybody's played with their imagination at some point in time. Whether it's like, man, today I got a haircut and I had to peruse through Google and like, oh man, what is that gonna look like? Nah, I can't, that's not gonna look good. That's gonna be an awful haircut. That's not gonna look good. I mean, should I just shave it all off? And I tried to imagine what I would look like bald. And I was like, I haven't seen my scalp in 20 years. I think I'm gonna leave the mop up there. All that stuff that I've played with is your imagination. Your imagination is also the way you imagine other people. The way you imagine people see you. Right? You imagine that people think you're incompetent. You imagine that people think you are competent. Alright? There are some people in your life that when you see them, they're like, whatever is going on, you're saying, I'm an idiot. whatever Trump is doing, right? But there are also those opportunities when you see another person and say, oh man, that person has my back. This whole room. Now, the way y'all are looking at me right now, I am imagining these are positive things. Every now and again, I might look at somebody's face and be like, that person should not be my friend anymore. Your imagination, it really is a wonderful tool if you know how to use it. And that's what the whole point of this talk is right now. Is that the imagination is something that I've come to discover about 4 or 5 years ago by a guy named Emeka. They used to call him the mystic of 42nd Street or something like that. He was a speaker in after World War II and passed away in the early 70s. This man just speak extemporaneously like 45 minutes, non-stop, quoting scripture like nobody's business. In fact, at the time, he would be brought onto talk shows to have conversations about the Bible and all that stuff. And he would say, he would challenge other preachers and stuff like that, and he could say to them what Bible exactly they pulled their quotes from, what lines they actually pulled out of from the top of his head, because he was so ingrained in what the Bible was. Now, I'm not a Bible scholar at all. I might quote like one quote from the Bible. I just picked up a new Bible, so this isn't like this is a very secular conversation, but that is to say that the imagination I've come to notice is how God speaks to me, and I believe that that's how God speaks to you guys. And your mind is what stamps it down. It stamps down your intuition. It stamps down your imagination. You know, when you were a kid, you used to dream and think that there was this pink elephant that was like running through the room and all this crazy stuff. And then people would say, no, that's not real. That's not real, it's not real. And maybe it isn't real, but by telling them that, by telling your kids that, you're also telling them not to engage with that part of their soul. So, tools to use for your future. What do you want? Anybody raise your hand or just say it could be a Snickers bar, it could be peace, it could be love, security. You want some security? What does so this is where I get to how I've come to know the imagination. So you want security. I want security, right? It's just these are just words that you put out there, I want security, but as you walk through life, I'm guessing you're feeling like you don't have security. Thusly, you would ask, right? So my challenge to you, Heidi, is to say, could it possibly be that you're imagining you're insecure, right? That she has it in her mind. She's planted into her mind. It's like she's not even thinking it. She's planted it in, using her imagination that her life is insecure, that it's not existing, that security doesn't already exist for her. And at any moment, you can feel secure, can't you? Whether it's with, like, maybe a check comes in, like, I'm secure, I can pay my bills. Or like a partner shows up for a period of time, right? And you feel secure. Why don't you imagine that security is always right? Like, what would that be like if you imagine that security was always with you? What do you think that would feel like? Would it feel secure? What does that mean to you other than the word? What is security? Sure enough, 4 months later, they gave me a call. Actually, I'll even say this. An absence of worry. Can you feel that absence of worry right now? They were going to pay me more than they had paid me on that point.
In this room?
Yeah. unchanging. What do you mean by that? It's like a sense of control over like what's happening around you. Yeah. So, I want everybody to think about something that they desire, something that they want. Right? Security, Snickers bar, a trip somewhere, a certain amount of money in your bank account, a certain relationship, some students in the back, good grades, who knows, you know. Really think of something specific, something that you can tangibly experience, all right? And what I want you all to do with that thought is ask yourself, what would the feeling be like if I had that? Right? And as y'all were thinking about that, I'm going to dive into how I came to be right here. About 4 years ago, I was an actor, I was a producer, I was running 2 businesses, not mine, but 2 other people's businesses. Super stressed out and super lonely. I was feeling super lonely. And I didn't know what was going on. Everything was going crazy for me. And I found myself laying on a cot one night in my friend's basement. It's cold, it's dingy. And I'm just laying there in front of candlelight saying to myself, all I want to do is speak in front of people. All I ever wanted to do. When I was 11 years old, I went to church with my mom. I'll never forget this day. We showed up late like we always do. And we're in the back pew, and I remember like reaching my head up and like, ah. And then a thought came to me, and it said, I want to be a priest. But then I was like, yeah, but I like her. And I mean, not in that moment, but it really rang true for me. And I remember St. Lawrence Parish, they used to always, Father John, Father Drew, they used to always say, location this, location that, location this, location that. And it always rang for me. It always rang for me. And I squashed it. I just put it aside and said, it's not for me, right? And then in college, came again. Something said, go to seminary, go to seminary. I was like, yeah, but I went. Like, nothing had changed in my desires in this world. And then I went through an atheistic phase, agnostic phase, something like that. And I was on this great adventure of having a great time. I moved to New York City. I became an actor, like I said before, and all that good stuff. And I was actually pretty good for someone who was new to the city, new to the industry, and all that stuff. Actually, if I would have continued on, I do not doubt that I would have done pretty well. But like I said, I was not finding any joy in being here. I found no joy in it whatsoever. I had no joy in living in it. But this call came to me again. I want to be in front of people still. And I wanted to teach this stuff. And a vision came to me where I was actually in front of a whole auditorium of people. And I could feel the light shining down on me. And there's a crowd of people. And I'm speaking just from my heart. And that vision will always be with me. In fact, as I'm talking to you guys now, I can see the crowd of people that I'm just touching, just coming from my heart, my honest self, my most imaginative self. Imagining that people are actually getting this and that they're inspired and moved to use the same thing that I'm using. We all have it. We all have that ability. So whatever it is that you guys are imagining right now for this want that you have, whether it's a Snickers bar or a world economy, imagine it as you're looking at me right now. See it in front of your face. If you need to close your eyes, close your eyes. Be with it. And as you're peering through your eyes, what does it feel like? That it's already done. That's your imagination. The song is just my imagination. How you interact with cells in my body in order to run blood cells. That is the silent central point of you. It doesn't. My mom's Catholic and she prays the rosary and she loves Mother Mary and all that good stuff. And I love hearing her talk about it because you can see her light up. You can see her soul just come alive when she talks about her prayers, when she talks about her visions. You all have that capacity right now to do that. So, know what you want. Can you devise a scene that would imply that wish has been fulfilled? My wish, like I said before, is I'm on stage with a light beaming down. There's a crowd of people. And I can see that kid in them, all somebody just gives, that they can actually have whatever they want. That feeling of certainty that I have is so real that it compels me to move in this world. And it compels the whole world to help me manifest that stuff. Whether it's one person that I meet that says, you know what? I'm good at organizing events. I'll help you out. Or just crowd of people who just want to hear something cool on a Friday night. It's all helping me realize the seed that I planted years ago. Every up, every down, every left, every right, every mistake, and every win. Has all led me to this very moment in time. Like, I've found that my imagination works. I've gotten a beautiful woman because of my imagination. I've gotten an amazing apartment because of my imagination. Trips, random trips. People just call me up and like, Jerry, let's go to Germany. I'm like, all right, great, fantastic. That's part of my imagination. I imagine that I'm the type of person who travels the world. There's a flight attendant in the room right now. He's kind of coaxing me to try to be a flight attendant. We'll see. And but yeah, I want y'all to devise a scene. All right? Whatever that want is that you have, devise a scene that implies that it's been fulfilled. Has to want, right? Let's say you want $1 million. It's not, the $1 million is fine, that's great and everything like that. But what would imply that, what would imply that you had $1 million? What would people say about you? How would you feel when people were saying that? What would you have created in the world? Alright? Where would you work? Where would you live? What does $1 million imply? Right? I have implications that say that if I'm a public speaker, I'm probably going to be taking a lot of trips around the world, so I'm probably going to be exhausted from trips, right? So sometimes I imagine coming home to Stephanie and Watts, my son, sometimes I imagine coming home just like, oh, wow, that was a good trip. Or, man, that was a bad trip. I actually imagine bad trips sometimes. Why? Because it's real. There's good, there's bad, and all that stuff. I can't just be all Pollyanna and think that the world... Steve, you traveled a lot for work. Not every trip was great. No. Right? No. None of them. No. Many were. And most will be. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about this today. Steve, it wasn't when I first met Steve, but Steve at one point had, I asked him about making money. And he said, I don't know, Jerry, I just always wanted to make money. Like, right? Like, that's just what you knew you wanted. And you got into sales because of it. Something in you, imagine that that's the type of person you are. And you moved. You moved. Because your body moved, your mind moved in that direction because you imagined it first. That's the cause of reality. Christians call it Jesus Christ. Taoists call it the Tao, the way, the truth, the light. It is your imagination. So, I want you all to do me a favor and close your eyes. Think about that want, that desire for yourself, or desire for somebody else for that matter. You want to see somebody healthy. You want to see somebody successful, whether it's yourself or somebody else. Imagine a scene. Just one simple scene. It could be a handshake. It could be your hands on a car steering wheel. And I want you to imagine yourself in yourself. You're not watching a movie of yourself. You are the witnesser. You are the one witnessing. What is she saying? What is he saying? What are you doing? You're writing on a piece of paper? You clickety-clacking on a keyboard? Are you standing on a stage? What implies that the wish is fulfilled? Once you have that, I want you to play that scene, simple scene, over and over and over again, until you feel it. Feel its reality. Hear the sounds. Taste the food. Is it a hug? How tight is that hug? Is it relaxing? What does it feel like to make the grade? What does it feel like to make that golf swing, that perfect swing that you've always wanted? What does it feel like to have that relationship you always wanted? Coach the clients that you wanted. Play that one simple scene over and over and over again. And once you find it, find that scene, I want you to just open your eyes. Come back. Look. Oh, I'm not nervous anymore. Now you have the scene. Cool. So, here's the thing. It's not just enough to just play that scene right here in this room. This is something that you need to practice for anything you want. Anything at all. It doesn't matter what it is. Something's ailing you, something's bothering you. Revise that scene. Imagine it the way you would have wanted it. And go to bed tonight, tomorrow, for a month, 21 days. Write it in a journal. I don't care. But take that little scene that you just devised and play it over and over and over again until you feel it as real. It is so real. In fact, it is the reality. Because like I said in the beginning, all that you behold, though it appears without, it is within your wonderful human imagination, in which this world of mortality is but a shadow. This is just a shadow. Y'all planted the seed so long ago, and you can plant more seeds that will come to fruition before you know it. And if you practice what I just taught, I promise you will come way faster than that. Really cool. Thank y'all very much. Please, if y'all have any questions or clap, I don't care. Is that good? Yeah. All right. That is what I wanted to say to everybody, but I want to leave the floor open to questions, and I'm going to try to answer the best way I know how. I'm open to anything, discussion, whatever it is. So, yeah, leave it up to you guys. Anything confusing, or you want more clarity on something? You're welcome. Did that help? Yeah. What's up?
Well, I'm curious about what resistance people have with their imagination. I believe self-confidence is really correlated to what you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I also know there's people like, oh, I'm not imagining. Well, we're all fucking imagining, right?
Yep.
Like, can't help, but that's all we're doing. But do you have any
How do I talk
comments
to
on overcoming when we
the block,
resist?
the resistance?
Yeah.
Whenever somebody says that they can't imagine, I'm like, okay, well, how do I find that? And I'm like, can you think of a song right now? Like, what's your favorite song?
I don't have favorites, but I'm wearing a Michael Franti shirt, so I think by Michael Franti.
I have no idea who Michael Franti is.
Yeah, put it, man.
Somebody in the room does.
Your head.
Oh, I'm a pop guy myself. Can you think of one of his songs?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you hear one of his songs right now, and even though it's not on right now?
I'll tell you what immediately happens is, no, I'm on the spot. No, I can't.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Let's say this: the Star Spangled Banner. Everybody knows the Star Spangled Banner, right? Dun, 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 just in case nobody knows it. Right? Now I'm not going to hum. Can everybody hear the Star Spangled Banner in their mind right now? That is your imagination. That's how quick your imagination is. It is always with you. You're not thinking the Star Spangled Banner. You are literally imagining the Star Spangled Banner.
But some people are imagining symbols in there and clashing and
Yeah.
really big
Yeah.
noise, and others are hearing it the way you were.
However they're imagining it to be. And you can key it low and you can key it high. The higher you key your imagination, the higher you tap into it and make it a reality in your mind, the more likely it is that it will manifest in this world.
But that's saying that we all know what the Star Spangled Banner is.
One more time.
It's like saying that we all know what the Star Spangled Banner is,
Yeah.
and that we're all American.
I mean, you can definitely go
And
down
we all
that.
speak English.
But you know, if you go to Japan, they'll know what the Star Spangled Banner is. That's not really the point. The point is that like it's more about tapping into that tool that is in your mind, that is your imagination.
Is it
Like
just imagining yourself as yourself, your imagination?
Yeah,
What's your name?
I believe that my name is Jerry.
That's an imagination.
But before the name I am Jerry, I have to imagine that there is a thing called a body, a form called Jerry. I have to imagine my thoughts before my thoughts can even be my thoughts. I have to imagine that nod, like that I am seeing her nod her head. And it's wild once you tap into it. And there's so many ways and there's so many tools to really wrap into it. But if you can understand that, if you can imagine Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror, or you can imagine the smell of a ribeye steak just searing, or if you're vegetarian, celery. I'm kidding. But you can imagine the taste. Can you smell the smell of a newborn baby without there being there? That's your imagination. And if you can tap into that and use it over and over again and practice it, man, you can do whatever you want. Now, here's the caveat. Get you in a second. Here's the caveat. You can imagine lovingly, you can imagine bad, and you can imagine indifferently. And that's why this whole world is what it is. Because people choose to imagine the worst. Because people choose to not care. Because people choose to care. And so that's why we live in the world that we live in. It's been going on for, as far as I can tell, thousands and thousands of years. You know? It's like the idea that someone concocts in their mind gets planted into the masses of people. And we go to war over those things. Because someone imagined something. And then got others to imagine it too. So my challenge to everybody here is practice your imagination. Practice how you use your mind. Because that is how we make the world a better place, like Michael says. Because you can't change, I can't change you guys. As far as I'm concerned, you guys are just a shadow. Y'all are just a representation of what's going on inside of me. I can't change you guys. I have to change. I have to change the way I think. I have to change the way I imagine. Trust me, I got a lot of work to do. I'm not all there. I don't think I will necessarily get all there. But I know I can always imagine better than the best. And imagine better every day.
I had a question about the process, because I found myself jumping around in imagining. And I'm just wondering if that's, again, that's the efficient way of doing it, or it doesn't matter, or
It's a great question.
it does matter.
It does
It's all
matter.
related to, yeah.
It does matter. Like I said before, you can key low or you can key high. The scene that I had you guys all try to devise in your minds, super simple scene. Because our minds don't want to play there. Our mind doesn't want it. Our mind wants to be distracted. So if you can, that's why I asked, like, what do you want? And what would it feel like if you had what you want? And then, say, devise the scene. Because then when you have that scene, you already know the feeling, right? The feeling of elation or relaxation or love or whatever. Then you have a scene that would imply that the wish is fulfilled. Let's say I wanted a new car, right? A scene that I would imagine would be a car note, actually. It wouldn't even be me driving the car. It would be me excited to pay the car note. Why? Because it implies that I have a car that I own. In fact, I would actually imagine paying off the last note. Because then it means that it's implying that I've been able to pay this off and I'm so happy to be done with it, right? The apartment that Stephanie and I live in, we had a scene that we would literally play over and over and over again. Anytime we were bumped, it was super simple. It was hearing people say, "Oh my God, your place is so big." Y'all said it. Steve, you said it. Whoever's been to my apartment has said, you've said it. And
She said.
You said it. That's what she said. It's the craziest thing. We laugh. Stephanie and I literally laugh anytime people say that when they come into our place, because when we were living in a one bedroom, small, little, tiny apartment, we just would move around in the space, and I would literally imagine, it's like, man, yeah, it is that big, isn't it? And it's crazy, but it's true. And then we walked the bridge of incident. I didn't mention this part, but I'm going to actually get back to your question before I go on.
I wanted to clarify something though too, because it wasn't that I was jumping around to different subjects. It was in the same subject, but it was like,
Make it about one scene.
okay.
Make it one simple thing that you can come back to. That way, when your mind does go off, you always have this anchor point.
Okay.
Because you're right, your mind will want to play scenes that are other related. But if you can have an anchor scene, something that you can always come back to, you can play with other bits and you can plant other seeds, and there's other things that you want to imagine. But when you're being specific about what you want and what implies that you have what you want, it just comes. It will come way faster, because it's like planting a seed in the ground. And if you're just kind of scattered around and it's just all over the place, it's not going to be a healthy plant. But if you plant just a nice little seed right in the ground, you put it there and you just water just the right amount and all that stuff, and cultivate it and make sure that it's nice, it's just going to grow into a beautiful whatever you planted, right? And do this every night before you go to bed. This one scene. And that's why you want it to be one scene, because especially when it's something big, you want to take that with you to bed at night. When we were a kid, your mom and dad always said, tell your prayers or say your prayers and all that stuff. This is a prayer. This is you putting it out there to God, to the universe, that you believe that this is real, that it exists already. It's already yours, right? I think it was John 1:3 that says, I'm messing this up already. There isn't, I'm going to mess this up, but just forgive me for paraphrasing. All that was made, all right. Everything that was made is made, oh my goodness.
The meal song.
Here it is. Through him all things were made, and without him nothing was made that has been made. John 1:3.
Right there.
I know. I was like, I know it's around here somewhere. Through him all things were made, and without him nothing was made that has been made. You imagine everything that you're doing right now. You imagine the shirt that you're wearing, these couches somebody imagined putting these amazing things in the sky. And y'all know what the story about this is? Oh my God, it's crazy. He imagined having this like reused materials and making a space out of it. And then they needed some sort of light fixture or whatever, and the architect was just like, oh, there's a bunch of plastic containers out in the parking lot, we can just use those. And literally shows up because he wanted reused materials, right? Anything and everything was up. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Did I get to it?
Yes.
Cool.
I was thinking of if you imagine yourself with another imagination with you, then that's a co-imagination being happening. And what if the imaginations are different?
You imagining something different from me?
Yeah, or you and your spouse,
Yeah.
you and your child.
It's a great
What if
question.
your child imagines having a totally different life than what you're providing?
Here's the interesting thing, and this is what I've come to discover. When I say table, right, you might have a different idea of what a table is than I do. But a table is something that we both understand. I'm going to imagine that I want certain things, and you're going to imagine that you want certain things. And these imaginings are going to interact with each other somehow, some way, to where your desires and somebody else's desires might not seem like they're coming together, but that's the beauty of creating with other people, is that we're actually all imagining together. Like, my hope is that everybody in this room is friendly and they're imagining the best for me, right? But your idea of the best for me is different than somebody else's idea of what's best for me. Your kid's idea of what's best for them, my hope is that I would teach my son, hey, imagine loving, imagine good things for other people, forgive other people, do those nice things that you would want done unto yourself, right? Now, if we clash on our ideas, on the way we think something should be, that's that. But the core of what we're putting out there in the world is always for the best, I think. I truly believe that at the end of the day, it's not about $1 million, right? It's about what implies that you got that $1 million. Because you might find out that you didn't need that $1 million, right? So you might be intellectually imagining or thinking that you want something. And then somebody else, like your spouse, is imagining and thinking that they want something else. But if you actually go even deeper to that, you find that there's actually more of a core of what you're desiring. That it might be love, it might be peace, it might be understanding. You know, something more ethereal than something material, right? Because before you can even have something material, there has to be a spiritual cause. So even though you might be thinking that, oh, I want an Audi 8.5 or something like that, you might come to find out that that's not what you wanted at all. You know, that sometimes your mind plays tricks on you. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, dive into it. And I actually have a story to share that kind of touches on that. In October, I went to Australia and hung out with my mentor and some friends, and we went to town. We went to Melbourne, and we went to Eltham and hung around the town, and we were running late, but we were just on time. And then I just had this weird thought in imagining that that we weren't going to show up, that we just weren't going to show up, and all of a sudden, the car we were driving literally broke down. Just smoke started billowing, coming out of the car and all this stuff. And we started laughing because I was like, oh my God, I literally just imagined this happening. And then one of my friends was just like, no way, I just imagined, and they imagined something completely different. That how funny would it be if we showed up like 30 minutes late is what she had imagined. And then when we finally got to the place, the person facilitating the whole event was just like, you guys, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, what, why? And he goes, I really imagined that you guys weren't going to show up at all. And it was just like, whoa, that's crazy. He wasn't even with us. We're all creating this world, everything. And the reason why we have chaos and the reason why we have war and strife and all this stuff is because everybody imagines something different. That's it. And it's how do you deal with the weirdness that comes about, the clashes, the disagreements. Do you put blame on them? Do you go back into your imagination and it's like, fine, this happened, revise it. What would I rather have? What is it that you truly want? And replant that seed and cultivate it, right?
I was going to comment on the power of imagination in terms of imagining what you want, but also fearing that which you don't want.
That's an imaginative act.
And the fact that can manifest the shit you don't want.
Yeah, I mean, people manifest the things that they don't want all the time. I mean,
So
you should see my bank account. And you know, it's funny because I worry about it all the time, and then it's like, so, and there it is, and I worry about it and I worry about it, but then you know, I can't put blame on somebody else because I know that I'm the one who's created it. And anytime I truly key into it and really imagine what it is that I want, man, jobs come, offers come, trips come, things come that, I mean, are miraculous. They're just miraculous. And to the point where I actually don't believe in coincidences anymore. I just don't. I don't believe in synchronicities. I don't believe in coincidences. I just am like, oh, okay, cool. When did I plant that? I don't even remember when I planted that. But I did, because I see it. You know? I see all of you. So.
When you talk about imagining what you want, how would you describe the way it actually happens? Is it you change your energy, your behaviors, your attitudes, like how and why? Is the question.
How and why? I've been studying this for 4 years, and I can't explain it. I really, it's almost inexplicable because, for example, the apartment that Stephanie and I live in, I remember we were hunting for apartments. We went to apartments, we were searching apartments, and I was like, nah, this isn't it. She's like, no, but like we need an apartment. I was like, yeah, but this isn't it. This isn't it. It just wasn't it. This wasn't it. This wasn't it. This wasn't it. She's like, no, let's check out this one. It's like, fine. And I let it happen because I'm like, maybe it would show up, right? And then I was like, I got to a place I was like, Seth, no more. I'm not forcing it. Let's just let it be, right? And it will come. When it's ready, it will come. And then one afternoon, something came to me. It was just like, get on Craigslist. I was like, all right. Apartments. And then like this thing came up. This ad popped up and it was like 3 sentences at best. What? 4, maybe? Not very descriptive. Had a very blurry picture of our now sunroom. And it was like, I told Seth, I was like,
The pictures were pretty good.
were they? I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, they weren't. But see, people see things differently. And I said to her, I think this was it. She's like, what? He was like, I'm like,
Craigslist.
he's like, yeah, you on Craigslist? I was like, I don't know. Something tells me this is it. And emailed the person like sets an appointment, show up at an apartment, and the dude opens the door, and it just a knowing just came to me. That was just like, I hadn't even walked into the apartment. He literally opens the door to the vestibule, and he's holding the baby in, and our baby's coming, and I was like, it's just a knowing hit me. And Stephanie literally starts walking up the block, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is it. And he takes us upstairs, and he opens the door in this long hallway. Was just there, and I was done. And knew it as soon as the door opened that was our spot. And we walked in, he toured, and then he took us to the kitchen. I was just like, yes. It was just, you know it because you planted the seed, because you've already felt what it is. I can't explain how. Somehow, some way, the people who need to be there show up. The opportunities that you need show up. You can't ask how. You can't ask why. All God asks you to do is know what you want and why you want it. Leave the rest up to Him.
I would even say,
Her.
to your point, that sort of like checking in with yourself, even just what you described as like, you walked in and like knew that was it, finally. And also to your point of like walking into the other apartments and feeling like, no. I think that if you do get pretty regular at like checking in with yourself, you start to pick up on like, oh, I'm having that like, maybe not feeling. And like really trusting that feeling that like, okay, then that's not it. Instead of trying to like rationalize, use that like mind and fear that like will come in and be like, oh, but we really need to get an apartment because I don't know, the baby's coming, and like, blah.
Here's another trick to help with that, as she's bringing that up, is you want something, right? Like an apartment, and you go hunting for apartments, like, yeah, that's not it. There might be something in that space, though, that you do want, that you're like, oh, they had an island. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. And you add that to your scene that you've devised, right? Like hunting for this space. I remember I was telling a friend that I'm doing this event. I don't have a location yet. She was like, oh my God, there's somebody who you've got to meet. She would love what they're talking about. And I met that person, and she was awesome. She was like, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be, and she was like, it's a co-working space and this and the other. And then communication with that person just went flat. I was just like, I was really excited. I thought this was going to be it, but it didn't happen. Oh well, it's fine. I know I'm going to find this place. And then another place showed up. And it's like, it just wasn't right. But I like pieces and bits and all that stuff. So I was like, I know it's manifesting, it's forming, and I'm observing it. And I'm not letting those down moments bring me away from what it is that I've already planted. Okay? And then Stephanie was like, Jerry, talk to Nikki Bravo. she owns a co-working space that's like supposedly beautiful that I'm gonna be doing my event. You should come. I was like, I'm over it. It's never gonna. I'm never gonna find this place. She's like, come on, we're doing this. I'm like, fine. It's gone. And then we walk in. I was just like, oh, this is it. Like it just was annoying. And then sure enough, she offered it to me. She waived the fee. She did all these awesome things that I wasn't even imagining. I had it was all in me that I was gonna pay for the space and all this stuff. Now we've discussed how I'm gonna be able to compensate her for like the opportunity to do this in her space. But that's what it is. Don't let the negative things knock you down. Use those negative things as stepping stones towards what you want. What did you like about what you didn't like? That makes any sense. You know what I mean? And that, as opposed to thinking about, but how, just think about, what do you want? What do you want? That's truly what matters. What do you want? I want to make money. How? This job? That job? But I like this bit though, and I like that bit. And as you notice and you find gratitude in the little things that you find, man, so many awesome things will come over, right? Like even this event, this is my first one. I'm hoping to do thousands of these, hundreds of thousands. Well, I don't know if that math works. But I hope to do so many of these. And but when I walk away from here, I love this, by the way. I'm going to imagine this better. I'm going to imagine that this was better than it already is. That way, the next time I come into this, it will be better. The next time, and the next time, and the next time. So whatever is going on in your world, whatever Trump is doing, whatever Bernie is doing, whatever whomever out there in the world is doing that you don't like, what's about that thing can you like that you can apply to the future you want to see? That way you can discard what you don't like and keep what you do. Cool? Any other questions?
I have one. So the specifics with your imagination, I got hung up on that. So in your example of looking for a spacious apartment, you have to imagine an apartment in your mind, right? And you said like
Not necessarily.
So then what does that look like to you?
What it looked like to me was hearing people say, oh my God, your apartment is so big. I swear to God, that's what I imagine all the time. And that is literally what people say all the time. It was like we imagined that it would be a space that was big enough to host friends, which we do every month. It was big enough which is weird because I've never had friends over at my space all the time. I don't know, I've never had that before. I mean, I guess I had as a kid, you know, my parents hosting friends and stuff like that. But that feeling of, man, what would it feel like to just like have friends over at your place all the time eating food? Man, I mean, it's a lovely feeling. All right, well, what would imply that people have come over? I think they would say, man, your place is so big. And then I would reply, it's like, yeah, I know. And I would actually, what it would imply is I would actually chuckle and be like, yeah, I know. Because that's how I respond now. Because when like so many people say it over and over again, I was like, people would say it so many times that I would be so used to hearing it. So now it's just like when people come over, I mean, they don't say it anymore, but when new people come over, they say it. I'm like, and I chuckle, I'm like, yeah, I know. I get it, you know? The job I got, the job that I had before moving to Chicago that eventually made me move to Chicago, I just imagined people would be like, that's your job? I was like, yeah, that's my job. And I had a crazy job, like a nutty job. Like I had a VW Beetle with a pink blue bug that sat on top of it, that I drove around town, and I had a superhero sitting in the seat next to me. Crazy. And I was working at a theater, barely paid, all that stuff, and I was just like, man, I love working at this theater, but to get another part-time job means that the energy I would like to put into this theater, I won't be able to. So I was like, all right, I want a job that pays me a ridiculous amount of money, that I can pay my bills, pay gas, all that stuff, and allow me the time that this theater needs. And I just imagined it every night, and I just had heard it. I heard people say, man, how did you get that job? Or, that's crazy. Wait, what do you do? Which is something people say to me all the time. And man, about like a month and a half, literally every night before I went to bed, about a month and a half, like my boss sends me an email. It's like, Jerry, this just came in, and it seems crazy, but it sounds perfect for you. And I looked at it and said, we're looking for somebody to wear a superhero outfit, 4 hours a week, $80 an hour, something ridiculous like that. And I was like, what? I was like, okay, here's my resume. And they called me in. It was a meeting in a hotel, or a airport hotel, and I realized it was a legit job. And I was like, that's nuts. And as soon as we were in the interview process, I was like, oh, this job's mine. I knew it. It's just a knowing. And 4 months in, then I got in and I realized that it was like legit, and that you could actually, you didn't have to just wear a superhero outfit, you could actually be a manager and all that stuff. So I started imagining that I was a manager, that I actually was making my own schedule, and that I had my superhero. And, sorry, I've been cutting you guys off. And sure enough, 4 months later, they give me a call. Actually, I'll even say this. They had told me that I was going to be able to go to Dallas to go and do a conference. And they were going to pay me more than they had paid me up until that point, and it was going to be a bonus and all that stuff. I was like, excellent. And then they called me and said, you know what, Jerry, no, we don't need you to come to Dallas anymore. And I was devastated because I could have used that money. And I was like, you know what, it's fine. And I replayed a scene in my head where I had a conversation with my manager and the owner of the company. I had a conversation, I heard their voice. It's like, and I told them how I felt. I was like, man, this is bullshit. I was really looking forward to this. How can you do this? All this stuff. And then I heard from them, but you gotta understand, it's just business and all this stuff. And I heard them, and I had empathy for them and their needs, and I loved them, and I forgave them, and I let it go. And then a week later, I get a call from my manager. He's like, hey, Jerry, so sorry about the Dallas thing. It would have been great if you could have come. And I was like, yeah, man, it's cool. You know, no big deal. You know, you just lick your wound and move on and all that good stuff. He's like, but I'm wondering, would you be interested in moving to Chicago and becoming a market manager up there? And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, and we're going to pay you X amount of dollars on that. And X amount of dollars was literally what I wanted to manifest that year. And I was just like, this is crazy. And that's when I knew that I figured it. I figured how the game of life works. Now, I forget all the time, but yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, because to me it's always been visual. I never even thought about like hearing something. So, you know, if I said I wanted to make X amount of money, maybe I could picture a bunch of scenes like this car, this apartment. But maybe it's just as simple as close family and friends being like, I can't believe you make that much a year.
Yeah.
So that's great.
People are proud of you.
Yeah.
Some people might be jealous of you. You know, there's so many expressions of self. But it's all here. We plant that seed. And it doesn't have to be lavish. It doesn't have to be, you know, the big fancy car. It's really just that feeling of gratitude for another person, you know, like someone feeling proud of you, someone loving you, all that stuff.
Yes.
It's good.
Kind of heavy, but with all the other life forms on the earth.
Like aliens?
No, on the earth.
You saying there's no aliens on the earth? I'm kidding.
I'm wondering what makes our imaginations so important, and the all being.
What makes the imagination so important?
know, all the other life forms on the earth, what makes your imagination and our imagination so important? What about you? Like, what other imaginations are there on the earth with life forms that were, you're drinking wine that came from a life force. You're made up of multitudes of organisms that are life. Do they have imaginations? Or are you
I'll answer it.
all imagination God for your?
I'll answer it this way. And forgive me if you're not Christian.
Like, do you ever imagine yourself dead?
What would life be like if I was dead?
No, I mean, these are imaginary,
Yeah.
exercises.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Does anybody else, does anything else on your body imagine?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Do they imagine you having?
Yeah, I think that everything, here's how I'll answer that. Everything is consciousness, experiencing whatever that thing is. Your consciousness, everything interact, even that paper plate sitting there. I believe. I don't know how to prove that because I haven't experienced that. All I've experienced is myself. And I know that the cells that are moving in my body have their own consciousness that is making them interact the way they interact, just as much as the consciousness that's in me, and the consciousness that's in her, and the consciousness that's in that car, the person driving that car. It's all working. And on this level, it might not seem that way, but if you were able to just scale up and look down, you'll see that, oh, there's a system going on here. This is all working, it's just working together because there's one consciousness that drives it all. There's one imagination that's driving the whole thing. And as you're peering through your eyes, it's just a veil that you're peering through. And as you imagine, like I said before, your imagination is, me personally, I've come to know that imagination is nothing but the mouth of God. And how you interact with your imagination is up to you, the individual. Do you stamp it down and say, yeah, no, I can't have that? All right, fine, then you don't. Or you do. But the cells in my body, in order for my blood cells to interact with each other, they have to have their own system that they understand. That it understands so that each cell can do what it needs to do for my system to do what it's doing. So this system right here can interact with these systems right here. And these systems right here can do what they need to do in order to let a grander system do what it does. And on and on and on, and less and less and less. As above, so below. But all you have right now is your experience. So that's all you can speak from. You can only speak from your experience. You can think and philosophize all you want, but it really is a kind of waste of energy. I love talking philosophy. I love diving in. I love talking politics. I love biology and physics and metaphysics and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, all I know is what I've experienced. If I lose it right now, this body ends, you guys just don't exist. It just is. That's just the way it is. I can't prove that there's an afterlife. My mind likes to think that there is, but I can't prove it. So, we can definitely dive into this. I love talking about this stuff.
Whatever you said is perfect. Is that any question?
Yeah. I love talking that stuff.
It was just
so it's 8:42, and I wanted to leave more room for people to interact with each other and pontificate and really sit with this. Also, I just didn't want to bore everybody to death. Please do me a favor. I'm going to send y'all an email on Eventbrite. Get y'all's email address in a little bit. I'm going to have a couple questions and how I can make this better, how I can make this more impactful. Because I want to do this again. I really enjoyed y'all. Thank you so much for giving me y'all's time, giving me y'all's energy, and money and all that stuff. And please go eat the food, go drink the drinks, and all that good stuff. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. And actually, I really do need to thank Blue Lacuna and Nikki Bravo, Derek, Kaya, Tracy. They were super gregarious in giving me the space that it's so big. So this is a co-working space. If you don't know anybody who's looking for a co-working space, they have not just these private rooms right here, but they have a bigger space in there. There's some other rooms in there that are, as y'all see, this is a beautiful location, all that good stuff. So please let them know. Let your friends know that this space exists. They do events here as well, so if y'all are looking to host any events or anything like that, please contact me or contact Blue. And so after that false balk that I just did there, thank y'all very much. I did it, it's over! Never
The show before, because he comes out, hands you the flowers, and he's all sweaty. He doesn't shoot, tall dude, dreads.
That's the work we can do.